guys. So today's topic is a really important one, especially given the current atmosphere. I am talking about self-tape audition submissions. Inspiration for today's topic comes from Susan in West Hollywood, who writes, "Hi, Christina." Hi, Susan. Normally, I'd be writing to request a private self-taped coaching session with you. Aw. But with everything that's happening right now, clearly that's not an option. So I'll be giving it a go myself at home. Do you have any advice as to how I can make the most of it? Oh. Hey, honey. Hi, baby.
I'm filming. Can I call you right back? Okay, call you in a bit. Bye.
Back to Susan. Do you have any advice as to how I can make the most of it? Yes, absolutely, Susan. Such a great topic, so relevant today. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. We are going to be going over 5 key principles when it comes to putting yourself on tape and submitting it to casting. If you really pay attention to these 5 areas and invest in them with a lot of tender love and care, you are really increasing your chances that this self-tape that you're sending in is going to be received and perceived as being highly professional, high quality, and it's gonna make them wanna watch it. Number 1, picture. Okay, so whether you are shooting on your cell phone's camera or you have invested in a high-end DSLR, the most important thing from a casting perspective is that you have a clear, crisp picture. You want a picture that is well lit, which means you can either light it yourself or shoot the scene next to a window where you have a lot of natural light flowing in. But you want to be able to see your face clearly, which you can achieve on your cell phone. Now, if you have it in your budget to afford a high-end DSLR, go for it. But it's not necessary. Most casting offices shoot their own auditions on a mid-range HD camcorder. So if you want to invest in an outside camera and you don't want to use your cell phone, that will do the trick. I have a recommendation. If you are shooting on your cell phone, please make sure that you shoot it horizontally, that it takes up the entire frame. Don't shoot it vertically when you're going to end up having this
Where you have all this space, where you have all this useless space on the side and you have the vertical frame.
That is really annoying. We don't want to see that in casting. Number 2, sound. From a casting perspective, the most important thing is that we can hear you clearly. Crisp, clear sound, one that's going to pull us in, free from outside distractions. So if your apartment is right next to a busy highway, don't shoot the scene in the room that's right next to the road. It does not have to have high film quality sound, but let me tell you, if you can achieve a high quality sound, that's going to help. It will also help your sound if you shoot on carpet and not hardwood floors or cement. For me, I'm a real stickler for sound. So when I'm putting somebody on tape, I use 2 different microphones, one for the actor and one for the reader. And I always make sure that the reader's microphone is pulled away enough to reduce that reader's volume by 25%, because you don't want the reader's lines to stand out over your lines. The reader's volume should always be about 25% less than your volume. If you're going to invest any money, you guys, I recommend you invest your money in getting an external microphone that you can hook up to your camera to help you produce much better sound. And of course, always remember, to achieve the best sound, be sure to turn off your cell phone so that it does not ring in the middle of your taping session. Okay, number 3, frame. Standard framing that casting directors use when they are bringing actors into their office to put them on tape for producers is very close to the framing that I'm using right now. Tip of the head to about the mid-arm or just above the mid-arm. You want to make sure that you avoid extraneous space in the frame. You want to make sure that the top of the frame touches the tip of the head. So like right here, the top of my frame is touching the tip of my head. There's no extraneous space. You don't have this happening. If you have this happening in an audition, it can be distracting and it doesn't pull us in, as opposed to this really pulls the viewer into the talent. If you're shooting an emotional scene, you want to push in even tighter. because for emotional scenes, you want the producers and the writers to feel like they're right next to you, experiencing the intensity of what you're feeling. So closer in is much better. This is why soaps love the close-up, because it's there in that juicy, dramatic moment and they're just gonna capture everything. If you're shooting a high action scene, you do not need to pull back on the frame and shoot like you're shooting on a large master. It's just not necessary. Playing out a lot of physical activity on a wide frame in an audition has the strong potential of coming across very hokey. Why? Because your action is not balanced out by atmosphere. It's not balanced out by a set or a monster coming at you. Those things aren't in the picture. So if it's just you in a wide frame taking a lot of action, it can look a little silly. But if you push in tight and the viewer gets to experience all of that action from your character's point of view in a tight close-up, those writers, those producers who are watching that scene in a tight close-up, their imaginations are going to naturally fill in the blanks. Nothing is going to compare to their imagination. So letting their minds fill it in is only going to serve you. All right, moving forward. Background. Please shoot on a plain background. Doesn't really matter the color. What matters is that it's plain, but good colors to use are green, blue, or any earth tones, as long as it is nondescript and does not interfere or distract from what's happening here. When you have a lot of stuff happening in the background, if you're shooting in your living room, for example, and there's pictures of you on the wall and things in the background, sometimes those things might catch the viewer's eye, and then they're not paying attention to you. They're being distracted by what's in the background. So it's much better to film your scene against a flat background. Okay, and finally, the reader. I can't fully express how important it is to have a good reader. Now, obviously, the reader is not the focus of your scene, but if you can find an acting buddy to self-tape with you, pop them 10, 15, 20 bucks, however much you want to spend on your reader, or buy them lunch. It's worth it. It is only going to help your performance if you have a skilled actor that you can work off of. When you're going into the room, there are certain principles that you want to abide by. You don't want to bring in props. You can't get too fancy with the setup because all that stuff in a room is unnecessary and distracting and actually can come across very hokey and unprofessional. But when you are putting yourself on tape, you can get away with things that you just simply cannot get away with in the room. You can get creative with music, you can get creative with the prop, you can really put your stamp on the production and presentation of this character and make it your own. A perfect example is Dacre Montgomery's audition for the second season of Stranger Things. If you have not seen it yet, I encourage you to watch it. It's fantastic.
Stop it! Woo!
And lo and behold, it won him the role. I will be sure to include the link in the description box for you. Now, of course, remember that everything that I'm telling you are recommendations. This is an industry that is not built on hard and fast rules. Really, anything can happen. There is a great example of a self-tape audition that ultimately led to this actor booking the lead of what was to become a very popular television show. I'm talking about Hugh Laurie. I will include the link in the description box for you so you can watch it. He was on location somewhere, he was staying in a hotel, and he filmed himself, cold reading by the way, in a bathroom. Now, they did not book him off of that initial self-taped audition, but that original self-taped audition led to an entire process in which he ultimately booked the role of Gregory House. Of course, this was Hugh Laurie, and he had a huge resume and a strong name value that carried that original cold read audition taped in a bathroom.
All I want is for you to do your job.
But as the philosopher Jagger once said, you can't always get what you want.
I want you to do your job.
But as the philosopher Jagger once said, you can't always get what you want.
Okay, that's my 2 cents when it comes to self-taped audition submissions. It is simply my advice, take it or leave it. And before we go, I want to give a quick shout out to these awesome casting directors for holding open call auditions via self-tape during this COVID-19 lockdown. They are the offices of Susan Bluestein and Jason Kennedy, Elizabeth Barnes and Seth Caskey, Leah Daniels Butler, and of course, the one and only Mr. John Levy. Thank you so much, you guys, for giving actors the opportunity to showcase themselves in the manner in which they would like to be seen. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a quick thumbs up. This is the best way to let me know that you like receiving this kind of free content and would like to continue receiving it in the future. Be good to yourselves, be good to the world, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. Emails.